on these studies in writing, and we included that in your packet. So if you'd like to take a look at that at some point during the meeting, please feel free, but that will do it for announcements.
Okay. Then we are ready to deal with the minutes of the 11/15/18 meeting.
Madam Chair,
Okay.
move approval of the minutes from the 11/15/2018 meeting.
Okay, there's a motion to
I'll second it.
approve, and there's a second, Roseanne and Nancy. Any discussion on that motion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor, could you please raise your hand? Okay, the minutes of November have been approved. May we interrupt this to have our last attendee introduce herself, please?
I'm sorry, I'm Janet Meeks, and I've been appointed by the superintendent.
Thank you, Janet. Okay, with that, Jason, appears you on.
Okay, we'll begin with study SH1. Numbers haven't changed. I've reviewed the numbers in detail, so I'll just briefly review the purpose of this attendance zone change proposal. The purpose, the reason we brought this forward is Highland Elementary the need to relieve the school is urgent. Henceforth, we're bringing forth this proposal to relieve Highland. Also, in association with this is South Grade Elementary, which is the fourth most overcrowded elementary school in the district behind Verde, Highland, and Colusa. Also with accelerated growth trajectory for the next 5 years. So if we don't relieve that school at this point, they're just going to continue to grow, and they're currently at 121% of their fish capacity, 108% of their available capacity, which includes their 4 concretables. So they're already pushing 110 of their available. So we're looking to relieve these 2 schools and to better balance enrollment in the Lake Worth area by shifting, this is the area of Highland, the area in blue. We're proposing to shift the area in blue to Palm Springs Elementary, who's about 82-83% utilization, and the area in purple, this is the canal, the L11 canal separating the 2 areas, the area in purple to Barton Elementary, who's a very large school, about capacity of about 1,400, and they're about 60% utilized. So they have a lot of available seats at that school. So that's to relieve Highland. And for South Grade, we're seeking to shift, it's this SAC, this is this sort of rectangular area is the entire SAC, but we're looking to split the SAC at 3rd Avenue South and shift the purple region to Barton, who also, as I previously mentioned, has additional capacity to accommodate those students. That will better balance enrollments over the next 3 years. There is a new development in the Highland zone, so that will allow Highland to absorb those new students as those developments are constructed over the years. 288 new units coming into that, mostly apartment units in the Highland zone, so that will help the school better accommodate those students as families move into those developments. As I mentioned at the December 20th meeting, although, and here's just real brief, briefly, here's what we're looking at. Without a change, Highland's projected at 115% next year. South Grade at 109 of their fish, 123 of their fish, 109% of their available. Next year, the 2021 school year, they're at 127 and 113. and Highland's nearly 120. So if we don't do anything now, we're just pushing this. Middle high schools can accommodate these high utilizations much better than elementaries. The elementaries just, once you're approaching that 115 range, it just becomes very, very, very difficult for the principals to accommodate that large enrollment. So with the change, we're looking at, and Barton's at 60, projected next year. With the change, we're looking at Barton at 79, better utilized. Highland down to 95 from 115. Palm Springs from 82 to 93, and South Grade 98. And then the next 3 years, Highland from 95, then 92, because the current fourth grade is becoming fifth grade, and their siblings are permitted to stay. Once those students begin to phase out, that'll lower the numbers a bit. And then third year, 93%, and South Grade 102% fish and 90% available, so that much better utilization. And then Palm Springs 93%, 94%, 94%. Better utilized school, and then Barton 79, 82, 83. So as I mentioned at the December 20th meeting, although the parents didn't come physically show to the ABC meetings and express these concerns to the committee, they did make these concerns, express these concerns to their principals, specifically at Highland and South Grade. This is in relation to the in-house dual language program that currently exists at Highland and South Grade. So both those schools currently have in-house dual language, but they currently don't exist at Palm Springs Elementary and Barton. So the parents had concerns that this is a great program, our children are thriving in the dual language program, but if we are to move, and I think for the most part, a lot of the communities, they understand why we're doing this, to relieve the crowding, but they really are thriving in some of these programs, and they're requesting, how can we continue in dual language? So for next year, as it may be, it was already pre-planned actually before this, Palm Springs is beginning an in-house dual language program only for K and first grade, but not for any other grades. Barton doesn't have dual language, it's not planned for next year. So we're currently exploring establishing a dual language program at Barton, but the earliest we would be able to establish that is not for SY 1920, which is next school year, but the following year, SY 2021. So this has been brought to the attention of district leadership. So district leadership is currently examining the option of allowing all the current Highland and South Grade students that are enrolled in the dual language program to remain at Highland and South Grade for next school year. So that would increase these utilizations at Highland and South Grade and decrease the utilizations at Barton and Palm Springs until those students begin to phase out. We would look to establish the dual language K-5 at Palm Springs and K-5 at Barton, and once those students phase out, then Highland and South Grade will begin to come down. But if that's a leadership decision, it's a programmatic decision that wouldn't be attached to the actual physical attendance zone change that would be recommended. And that's something will be determined, when this comes to the board programmatically. Hey, can those students remain in their dual language programs at Highland and South Grade? And we've got the numbers broken down and the exact numbers. So that's something district leadership is currently examining. So I wanted to bring that to your attention. And
Ask a question about that. Could you just explain the dual language program to everyone?
they both have Spanish dual language, so it's sort of a dual English Spanish curriculum. I'm not the expert on that, but
Is everything taught in both languages?
Yes, as far as I understand. I don't know if
I'm the principal of South Grade.
Oh, awesome. Would you mind coming up? And I couldn't have asked for a better guest speaker. And I know there are teachers specifically trained in the dual language program, but that's Source right next to me.
Basically, dual language, what they're receiving in English is exactly what they're receiving in Spanish. So the curriculum is no different. So their learning takes place in both languages. So what they start learning, reading, writing, and speaking, occurs both on the English side and on the Spanish side. So we create a schedule so the students are exposed to both. It's not just, I'm learning how to speak Spanish, I'm learning how to read, write, and read in Spanish as well as in English. So we do all of our math in Spanish. We do all of our science in Spanish. All the reading is in both languages, and social studies is in Spanish as well. So these students learn both of these languages starting from kindergarten. So the results are that these children are thriving. So these parents are very concerned, thinking, now my child is going to another school and they will only be exposed to the English side of the curriculum. They won't be allowed to continue to learn in both languages, and again, to foster that Spanish as well. So it's been a concern.
Madam Chair?
Yes, go ahead.
Madam Chair, can we have her state her name for the records?
Anna R.C. Gonzalez, principal at South Grade.
Are the majority of the students in this program English language students or already Spanish language students?
South Grade is a complex school in that although my students are categorized as Hispanic, the majority of the students do come from Guatemala. And although Guatemala is a Spanish spoken country, they speak 21 different dialects. And mom and conjugal are not Spanish, as I would speak Spanish to another Spanish Hispanic person. It is a dialect, so when they're coming, they're learning Spanish as a third language as they would be learning English as a second language. So sometimes you have students who are speaking language, you have some students who only speak English, and then you have some students who are coming in with a dialect learning 2 new languages.
Can we enroll?
It is it's quite a phenomenon to see how students learn in this program, because again, they're expected to know everything that they are to learn in English on the English side equally on the Spanish side. So obviously, parents are very concerned seeing how well their students are doing in this type of program. Also that they're keeping some of them their native language, and they're biliterate. You know, they're becoming biliterate students, and to hear that that opportunity won't continue for them, obviously that's where the concern lies with them.
And what you're saying, Jason, is we don't know the number yet. How many?
He said he
Well,
did
we do know the number, yeah.
You did?
Yeah, yes, and
Is it like 33?
yeah, I reviewed that during the last meeting.
Jason, while you look, Madam Chair?
Yes.
Jason, while you look for that number, is that number reflected in the number that you had for the projected move of 100 and?
No, that was just the purely the attendance zone change with allowing the current 4th graders who will become 5th grade next year and any of their siblings to remain. That
Thank you.
doesn't include allowing the dual language students to remain as well. I do have those
Thank you.
figures.
Madam Chair, how do you get into that program? Is it just voluntary, you sign up for it, or you take a certain
Students
number?
start in kindergarten, so they start in kindergarten, and I have so many students that come from, from Guatemala, and that's what's unique about South Grade. The majority of our students are coming from Guatemala. I was at a different elementary school where the student population was highly Hispanic, but they were coming from different countries, the Dominican, from Puerto Rico, but these students are coming from Guatemala. So what happens is, if I have, in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, if I have available seats in my dual language program, a student who's coming from Guatemala who does speak Spanish is able to transition into the American education fairly quickly, because they're being exposed to a language that they already know, and then they're learning their second language, which is English. So if you're coming in from a Spanish-spoken country and you're already speaking Spanish, in the higher grades, I can put you in that program. However, in the higher grades, I traditionally don't place students in that program if you're not already speaking Spanish, because it does become very difficult.
Did you find the numbers?
Yeah, so from the area from Highland to, well, let me start with South Grade, then we have the principal has kindly joined us. From South Grade to Barton, that portion of SAC 214B, there are a total of 34, that's current K through 3, because fourth graders can remain regardless, 34 dual language K through third graders. The area from Highland to Palm Springs, there are 18 total K through third graders, and from Highland, the proposed area from Highland to Barton, there are 48 K through 3 dual language. So what would happen if leadership would decide to allow those students to remain? Next year, Highland would, let me throw on the numbers, I can, instead of 95, if we allow all those dual language students to remain, Highland would be 102%. South grade, instead of 98 and 98% of fish, 87% available, taking into account their concretables, they would be 103% of fish, 92% of available. And then Barton, instead of being 79, increasing to 79% would decrease to 74%, and Palm Springs, instead of 93, would decrease very slightly to 92. And it would just be a matter of those students eventually matriculating out, and Palm Springs, the intent is to establish, to start K1 next year, and then eventually K5, and then the intent is to hopefully then establish a dual language program at Barton for SY20, beginning in SY 2021.
I know that's a program issue, but if the board does decide to allow these children to stay, does that mean they won't accept any new students from those SACs into the program at that school? So they'll be, because they'll be bounded to...
Right, it would be for only existing, any current student, current SY 18-19 student that's currently enrolled at South Grade, that's currently enrolled in the dual language program would be permitted to stay. Any new student would then have to attend. I mean, if a new student moved in the summer, they would be anticipated that would attend, if the board would approve it, they attend their new school, which would be Barton.
So if a sibling is going to start first grade and is to go to one of these schools that's starting a program, say they're in the Palm Springs, would they then go to Palm Springs, or are you going to keep?
You're saying if there's a dual language sibling?
Yes.
Well, that actually that raises another question. That'll also have to be a programmatic leadership decision,
Something
whether
to
to
think
grant reassignments in those situations. It would obviously further increase the utilizations temporarily it wouldn't provide that immediate relief. So that would be a leadership decision, whether to allow those siblings to, for us to grant them reassignments. Without that, yes, then they would be anticipated to shift to their new school.
Jason, can you go back to the Google map where you had Palm Springs and Barton up and down, blue and purple map? I think it was the first one.
The Highland?
It was that one.
Right.
So zoom out. You're proposing the south of, I can't see that far, south of
the L11.
South of the lake to Barton Elementary?
It's the L11 canal.
Okay,
it's the canal.
Okay, south of the canal, that's purple, is going to go east of 95.
Correct.
Correct? Okay.
Yeah, there are areas of the Barton zone that already exist east of 95.
Okay, in this particular area?
I can show you here. Here's Barton's in green.
Okay.
So you can see all this green. Here's 95. This is the Barton zone in green. So there's, and it's actually contiguous to this area. So that area already is assigned to Barton. It's just, this area is, the proposed area is just north. And they're already east of 95. Excuse me, west. So they would shift east of 95. So there's a large portion of the Barton zone that is currently
So what I'm
west of
following is,
95.
are they currently getting bused to Highland Elementary, or?
Yes, I believe,
Yes, they are.
yes.
Okay,
Okay,
that was the
our
question.
transportation director is here.
Yes, they are.
That's where I was. So these particular, the purple, the first map that you had to Barton Elementary, they would receive busing as well?
Yes.
Thank you.
Right. Now, these students actually would be closer to Palm Springs than Barton, but I think they would have to cross Congress, and that would be our transportation department would then assess. They're within 2 miles. I think it would only be within a mile or so of the school, less distance than Highland, but they would have to assess if Congress constitutes a hazardous walk zone, and per state statute, if it is a hazardous walk zone, then we would offer a bus. So elementary age students wouldn't have to cross Congress.
It is a hazard.
I'm sure it is, but yeah,
We agree.
But
you're saying
great staff and transportation assesses. I'm sorry?
You're saying Palm Springs. You keep saying Barton, but you meant for 201, it's actually going to Palm Springs.
The blue portion.
Yes.
Yes, if I said Barton, I'd correct myself, sorry.
Madam
Yes, Palm
Chair?
Springs.
Yes, yeah.
For those who elect to remain in the, if that's approved for the dual language program, would that include transportation?
That would have to be a board decision, because that would likely incur a cost. So that would have to be a leadership recommendation and final board decision. It's the same with the fourth graders that we we allow them to remain. I think that was the case with the Calusa change. You can remain as a fourth grader and your siblings, but we did not offer transportation. It's the parents' responsibility to transport the child. So that would have to be the determination as part of that recommendation to the board, that leadership would bring to the board.
Currently, I don't have any buses that come to my school. All my kids either walk or ride bike, or they're being dropped off. I have no buses.
Right, so
Very
214.
compact.
Yes.
Well, here's the transportation.
Yes, it is. Have you ever been?
The distances are here. Yeah, so you can see
Palm Springs, but these.
current zone school, South Grade, that portion of South Grade to Barton, it's a mile to South Grade. The change would, and that's from the center of the SAC, so, give or take it would be added 0.3 of a mile to Barton. So you'd still be within the 2 mile zone. And then you can see the difference, the Palm Springs to Highland, it's about 2 miles to Highland, it would decrease to a mile, and then the
What do you think this road is?
Highland to Barton portion, 2.3 would increase to 3. So that's where Shane was mentioning that these students were already transported. So it just adds 0.7 of a mile.
And it
Okay.
Madam Chair?
must be
So, just so I understand for clarification, the ABC is not weighing in on any proposal for the dual language, we're just making a boundary
We're
recommendation?
not. That is a programmatic decision.
Right, and having said that, I would recommend that we move
Wait,
Go this way, then.
public comment.
public comment first.
Oh, okay.
Good recommendation.
I just wanted to clarify, because there was a lot of discussion
Thank
about
you.
something
Yeah,
that we are
yeah.
not going to weigh in on.
And we want to, thank you, I appreciate that very
Well,
much.
sometimes we do add our comments, but this is not
And we
one of
say
them.
that there was a lot of public concern and discussion, but no, we don't. Public comments, let's move to, are you okay, Jason, with moving
Yeah,
now?
I just did want to, where's my sheet? Oh, I've got it on the PDF. Yeah, I did provide the printout of the community input. I just wanted to briefly review the summation of the community input meeting that was held December 20th at Lake Worth Middle. We had 2 speakers, and just so, folks that weren't there, we had a community member, Pam Bergmas. She spoke in favor of the current study. She commended the planning department on the study, also recommends to allow the dual language students to remain at their current school, stated that she has a problem with taking students out of the city of Lake Worth and busing them to Palm Springs, but understand why it has to be done. And then City of Lake Worth Commissioner Omari Hardy, who has attended the previous 2 meetings, likes what the district is doing as it benefits every child involved in the proposed change, appreciates the work that is being done, so he spoke in favor of the study. So those were the 2.
You know why Jason is highlighting this for those of us who have been here for a few years? It is different to go out to a community input meeting where we actually get two positive speakers, so you
100% positive.
yeah, 100% positive. Let's do it, let's put it in that light.
I can't get anything by the chair. It's just impossible.
100%. So that's great. Okay? Okay now? You ready?
And if there are any folks, I failed to mention this in the beginning, if there are any folks in the audience that do wish to speak, please fill out a speaker card at the front table, bring that up, and we'll call you up to speak. So if anyone wishes to speak.
Is there anyone? Even if you've spoken before, that's fine. You can still speak again. No one? Okay, seeing no speakers, we are to committee discussion and action.
Just have a quick question. You said there's future development coming into that
Right.
boundary. Is it happening now or how soon?
There's one currently under construction. It's Banyan Court Apartments. It's an 85-unit, one and two bedrooms. Based on the student generation rate, which is the county-wide rate, that would be anticipated, 85 apartment units would be anticipated to generate 7 K through 5 students, but we know there are different parts of you can't apply the same rate, although we have to, but as a demographer, I know there are areas of the county that it's higher than that standard generation rate, and some areas that are lower. So we'll keep an eye on that as construction
Is
continues.
there another one coming?
Yes, then there's an 189-unit apartment complex using their generation rate, that's 16 K5 students. That, as of August 2018, when we checked, construction had not begun yet on that one. And then there's a very small adopt-a-family 14-unit housing development, very small, and that would generate about 2 students.
Just noted the figures that you gave for the program, if the students are allowed to stay, we really go very slowly down, and then if we have more kids moving in, we may see you again in 2 years.
Yes.
Well, and those dual language students would phase out, but
Not that quickly.
it would take some time, right? Especially in K1. I mean, that can take 4 or 5 years.
Jason, 214B, when did it become B? When did 214 split?
When did 214 actually, well, there's 214A and B. As to when that full 214 split, I'd have to check the history.
Okay, so
I don't know off the
it's
top
not
of
in the
my head.
last,
No,
the siblings, let's say 6 years, 7 years?
No, I think it was split many years ago.
Okay.
I don't know exactly when, yeah. So we
I
would,
just was curious if families were being impacted yet again. Okay.
yes, I'm not aware of when that was split. I'd have to go back into the SAC split history, but I don't believe it was recent.
But it looks like you're splitting B again. So
Yes,
does
there's
that
just-
become C?
We would probably turn that into
it's C.
14. Yeah, it's just
Yeah,
a
okay.
lot of students in that SAC, a lot to move the entire SAC. A huge population.
I have one other question.
Go ahead. You have
I know that North Grade's not part of the study, and I'm not suggesting that it be, but I'm just curious what their enrollment is if we're going to have to look in the future if Highland again needs to move somewhere. And North Grade's so close.
Yeah, the reason North Grade isn't involved because they're turning K-8. So this is the first year they went 6th grade. Now they're K-6. Next year they'll K-7, and following year they'll be K-8. So that's going to be a K-8 school. So we need space at the school to accommodate that new middle school enrollment. So that they're going to grow as that K-8 continues to
So as
phase in.
these developments come on, and as was just stated, we're going to need to revisit this very fast, so that's not going to be an option in the future.
As we reassess each year, I mean, we still have space at Barton. Even with the full proposal, Barton is
That's
right
true.
in the low 80s, 81%. So there's even the third year we're looking at 83%, 1160 enrollment, 1,400 fish capacity. So we have space at Barton, and there are some schools to the west that also have some available space, such as Starlight Cove and Diamond View. Both those schools have experienced decreased enrollment over the years. So there are there are options. We'll keep my fingers crossed that this will take care of Highland for many, many years to come, but we'll assess, and we'll assess each year, as we always do.
Yes,
Move to take this, to recommend the study to the superintendent.
there's a motion to recommend study. As Sally, your seconder? Oh, and Carla. Okay, SH1 to the superintendent. Any more discussion, or specific discussion on that motion? Sorry. Okay. All right, seeing no discussion on that motion, all those in favor, would you please raise your hand? Any opposed? I'm seeing everyone. Motion has passed. Okay. Jason, you are on with Malaluka and Leonard.
Okay, so this was the proposal this is a new residential development called Solsera. The developer brought this to our attention, that it's currently under construction. I want to reiterate, there are no current students residing here yet. This would be a proactive move. Developer notified us stating, hey, our development is split at Jog Road, which is a very major road. So the highlighted red portion, this is Southern Boulevard, just to the north. Southern Boulevard and Jog Road. You've got the development. Jog Road is splitting the development. The developer is considering this one singular development, 109 single-family units. To the west will be 53 single-family homes. To the east, 56 single-family homes. So the developer asked, could you look at consolidating the development? So we did that and looked at school board policy as our, capacity is our number one criteria. So half the development is currently split to Pine Jog, which already lies east of Jog, and Malaluka, which also lies east of Jog. So there are students living in this area, elementary students, that are being transported across Jog Road. So Malaluka has much more available space than Pine Jog. So that was the reason we chose Malaluka, because of the capacity. Pine Jog's in the 90s. The reason they've really come down, we've reduced their choice seats, but they were close to 100 for a number of years. You can see they're projected at 94 next year without any change. It's really not many students coming from this. The numbers are pretty much the same, but Malaluka's sitting at 71% utilization, and Pine Jog at 94. So based on criteria, the distance wasn't really much of a difference. Both the schools are already east of Jog Road, so we decided Malaluka would be the school. For the high school, here are the two high schools. It's split between, the middle school is the same. It's Okehele, regardless of which side. You've got Palm Beach Central in the blue zone, and John I. Leonard. John I. Leonard is at 1 percentage point currently lower utilization, and their trajectory has them on a more of a decreased projection. Palm Beach Central is increased. Also in the future, we have more future development that's likely coming into the Palm Beach Central zone, and especially more single-family homes. So based on that, we anticipate Palm Beach Central's enrollment growing at a more rapid rate than John I. Leonard. Also, what will impact this entire area will be the new high school that was approved by the Department of Education, OOO, which is just off Lyons, in between Lantana and Lake Worth Roads, in the very northwestern Park Vista zone. So, and that's to relieve all the overcrowding in our central area high schools: Forest Hill, John I. Leonard, Palm Beach Central, Wellington, Park Vista, Santa Lucia. So that's a huge swath of schools that school is to relieve. So there isn't a chance, these zones will change for a large number of these schools. But we chose, again, John I. Leonard due to the criteria spelled out in policy. It's a lower utilization, projected at a lower utilization, more future residential development estimated to come into this Palm Beach Central zone. So we decided this would be the better, Malaluka to Okehele to Leonard, which is already the feeder pattern for a large number of students in this area, so that was the rationale. Behind that, I included the developer's public comment at the last meeting. Everyone received it regardless, but if you read that, they didn't appear at the community input meeting, but they did provide comments as to what their wishes were for this particular proposal. But that was the rationale. Those two schools is based on capacity, and if we we'll look at distance. The area from actually would be 1/10 less of a mile. That area zoned to Pine Jog. If the proposed zone, proposed in Malaluka, it would be 1 mile. It's just negligible. 1 mile instead of 1.1. And as I mentioned, there are already students west of Jog that are zoned to Pine Jog. And then the high school is about exactly a mile. To Central, it's 3.8. They'd be afforded transportation, and it adds an additional mile to John I. Leonard.
I had a question.
Yes.
I'm not that familiar with this area, but the section of the subdivision that's west of Jog Road,
Right.
because that's such a big divider line, would those children recreate more with, are there more developments on that west side? Or, just because the development is split.
No.
I'm not, okay, so there would be no reason why they would be playing with other kids that would put them
There's
out of
nothing
their
there.
It's not
feeder
dense.
pattern or anything?
Yeah, it's not dense. It's almost,
There's a church, there's not much there.
yeah, it's not much there. It's almost sort of like has almost an acreage sort of feel to it. But it's not, you don't have, master planned developments all
Okay.
throughout that area. So,
You'd have to go down Pioneer Road to get to...
Say that in the
You
mic.
would go down, the more developed part is down that Pioneer Road.
West.
Is where more, yeah, so it's not like they're living next to another community, no.
Because I didn't know if those kids would then be
Yeah.
heading west to play with other friends, and then all those kids would
No.
be heading to the other high
I'll,
school. It's pretty clean.
Here we go. Yeah, so this is the area. Dark, but this grassy area is what they're developing right in here, and you can see that's all the surrounding. It's very spread out.
Street to play with.
There are students in these areas,
Development, do you think?
Very few.
but not many.
So,
Pretty much, as you go further east, you have more of more dense
A lot more
residential.
students east.
Right. But west, it's not as dense. And then you're at the turnpike.
Okay.
Jason, all the students would be transported, correct? Malaluka walking.
They're within the 2-mile zone. It would just be a question of
Hazard
the hazardous crossing
They
jog.
would most likely be transported?
Well, we would do the evaluation to determine if transportation is
West side.
required. For the west side.
Correct.
We would do an evaluation then.
So, there are no areas of Malaluka that are west of Jog Road. You see there are a large portion of Pine Jog there are, so regardless, they're crossing Jog Road.
Right now.
But for the middle school and the high school, it's all transported?
Yes.
Correct.
Right. Yeah, because it's well outside the 2-mile.
Just a quick question, there's nothing. Do you know when the high school is breaking ground? OOO?
That hasn't been determined. That's currently in the planning stages of...
If you had a year projection, looking at 3 years?
Boy, 1920, 2020, average it's about 3-ish years, around 3 years for a high school to come on board. So we're looking at somewhere around 21, 22 to 22, 23, and that if all goes well. If it goes quicker, and hey, maybe sooner, but, you never know with construction. We're in that range. 21-22 to 22-23 is the...
At our Construction Oversight and Review Committee this morning, they all sympathized with the Boundaries Committee when that school was
Yes, that's going to be fun.
That'll be difficult, but I am, on the flip side, I'm very happy the state approved
Yes.
that site, as well as our
That's-
elementary. That
the
occurred during the
elementary in
break.
Boca,
So,
yeah.
the 05C site as well, that was, a lot of work went into those meetings with DOE. So, it'll be difficult boundaries, but we're getting a new school to properly relieve these
It's going to
very
be a Royal Palm
overcrowded.
Beach boundary, I can see that.
It'll be
Jason,
interesting.
wasn't that the school where last year we were discussing about once the monies are secured?
I'm sorry?
Last fall, we were talking about 000?
Right. Well, it needed DOE, Florida Department of
Right,
Education
but they said
approval.
that in the meantime, that they were working on securing the funds.
Right, it's in the 5-year plan. Yeah, the funding, the board has approved the funding.
We just needed approval from the state.
Yes.
That took about a year,
Yeah.
much longer than anticipated.
Okay. Is there public comment? Let's make sure. No? Looking. You never know. They did have some people on the camera. They might decide to do public comment. Okay. All right.
I make a motion, we move this forward to the superintendent for recommendation.
Okay, what's your motion?
To take study J1
What about M1?
And M1.
and M1.
And M1.
It being it's an elementary and high, they'll have
Right.
to come separate, but I group them
Second. Can you
together
group that
because it's sensitive.
So, but it's sufficient that we give you a motion on M1 and J1?
Yes.
All right.
That's
So
the
Nancy,
motion for
your-
J1 and M1.
Okay, so that's Nancy making the motion and Virginia seconded. And okay, any more discussion specifically on the motion, please? Seeing none?
I do
I'm
have a
sorry,
question.
Nellie.
So we're going to keep the crosshatched purple is going to stay with Pine Jog?
No. If the ABC recommends it to the superintendent as proposed, that crosshatch section would then turn yellow.
Okay, so
That would be-
I do have some discussion, because normally, I think this is such a special situation. This situation is, and every situation, of course, is unique, but normally, I am so in favor of making sure that we send new students who don't live there yet to the less populated schools. But in this particular situation, I feel like this is more unique than usual, and things are going to be changing soon anyways, and it seems like that JOG is such a natural division. To me, it seems like that the crosshatch should stay with, even though Pine Jog is a little bit more crowded, it seems like they should stay with, where are they going? John, no, they're going, purple is going to John
Right now,
High?
right now the purple is Pine Jog, and then the high school would be Palm Beach Central.
Okay, and because the high school is going to be changing anyways. And I normally don't think that we should be separating them out, especially since there's no kids. But for me, it seems like with the natural division, that purple should stay with purple and yellow should stay with yellow. It doesn't, I just don't think it's logical that we're separating this out the way that we are. I'm going to vote against it.
Vote against, okay.
Okay, so you're speaking against the motion in terms of what it is.
Well, I
go to
didn't mean
su-
to speak against the motion.
No,
I
she's
just meant to
just
discuss.
stating why she's going to vote against it.
Well, I had that same concern.
Okay.
'Cause that's what I was worried about, too, because they have to cross over a pretty major highway.
Like, they're going to guarantee
And I
there'll
don't
be a bus
consider
over
that
there.
because of that split, that they're really one subdivision. I
Yeah.
think they really look like they're going to be functioning as two separate subdivisions, even though they're the same name.
We do have students crossing that road already to go to Pine Jog.
Yeah.
So it's not like, there
You're
are
still gonna
students in
cross.
this area, and they are
That's
crossing
true.
Jog to go to Pine Jog.
Right.
So
It would-
I'm assuming,
it would just be-
is there a bus
No,
Pine Jog?
all those kids are walkers, or the parents.
considered
take
walkers?
them.
Okay.
It just seems apparent that we're going to be changing zones again anyways, and it would be better to have it clean lines. That's just my perspective.
Okay.
It's not clean now. The pink's on both sides. So
And when you look at the
yellow
high
can be
school
on both
lines,
sides.
they're already jagged.
That would be,
So-
yeah. The change would occur in high school,
Yeah.
at this point, we don't know
Come on.
which areas yet would change. This is we'll examine that when we reach the point of having to create the zone for new O, but portions of the central zone and the John I. Leonard zone will shift. It's just, a matter of which ones.
Okay. But the motion before you is to move study 1, M1 and J1 to the superintendent. We have had some discussion in favor and in opposition. Is there any more discussion? Okay, seeing none, I'll put the motion to you. All in favor of that motion, would you please raise your hand? Let's do a count, please.
Keep the hands up, please, so our staff can record. Thank you.
You have the count. All opposed, please raise your hand.
Hands up, please. Only Nellie?
Okay.
One opposed.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. That motion has passed. This will be forwarded to the superintendent. And yes, we do understand that it does come back, so that's okay. We're tough. We can handle it.
Maybe we'll have a high school.
Been there, done that.
Multiple times.
All right, other business and / future meeting dates.
So, and that will wrap up the official cycle. The next, we anticipate as you're aware, we're required to hold the joint school board ABC workshop. We anticipate that occurring on Wednesday, February 6th. So if you want to mark your calendars now. The time, those typically don't tend to be time certain, as many of you are aware. Some of those in the past I've mentioned. Workshop begins at 3, but we're not sure when we're going to get to the ABC. So
Whatever.
I'll let you know when I know more, but we're anticipating the 6th. Just due to scheduling, unfortunately, we won't be able to likely hold the first read on that date. That will likely come the 20th.
Okay.
But, the workshops are not, as the regular meetings are, they're not mandatory attendance. You're absolutely all invited to attend. I'd love to see you, but I'll let you know when that's official.
Did you say it starts, I'm sorry, Jason, you said it starts at 3?
No, I'm just saying in the past. I was just
So the
providing.
workshops usually do, but you don't know where you're on the agenda.
Just don't know when.
No,
There's a start date. It could be 2, it could be 3. We don't know. But usually there's multiple workshops, and it just depends when they eventually reach the ABC portion. So that's why they say it's not time certain. But I will let you know when I'm aware of the time and give you the best estimate.
I have an evening conflict. Do you have a guess of how long the duration usually is?
Once we get started,
Sometimes it was after 5 o'clock. We would sit till 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock.
it doesn't take long once we
It
get
depends,
started.
those other workshops, and how long
Those are rarely
they go.
time
Other
certain.
times, they saw that we were there, and they
Right.
accommodated the committee.
I wish I could give you a definitive.
Pull your strings over there.
Okay.
You got
Hey,
the chair.
That's right, yes.
Madam Chair,
You never know. I'll let you know.
I know we don't
if
have
it's
to be
time
there, but
certain.
I have an evening conflict. I will not be able to make it. It starts at 5:30. And
Okay.
those meetings can go forever.
They can.
Yeah.
A lot will depend on what's on the agenda, how many workshops on the agenda, so we can, work with the board clerk and give you our best estimate.
Can somebody describe what happens at the workshop? I've never been to one.
It's the board and I usually describe and explain what was brought forward to the ABC and just the rationale, what we were trying to attempt to do, relieving certain schools and the reasons why. And then usually the board chair and vice chair sit up at the table and we have reserved seating in the front row for the remainder of the ABC committee. And then the chair and vice chair, converse with the school board on any topics relating to the proposals or any other attendance zone or capacity issues throughout the district. So it's a freewheeling workshop.
And we
A lot of times they ask those that are against it, why?
Yes.
Yes, that's happened as well.
Yeah.
Thank
It will
you.
be just on these studies we talked about today.
Yes, it would just be these two.
Yeah.
Well, 2.5. So, yeah.
And
Yes,
if
it
there's
will
other
be.
topics, that's occurred in the past, other topics have been brought up by, members, but that has occurred where the board they'd like to hear what the dissenting.
Yeah, they get a summary sheet, they get an advanced summary, so they have an idea of what has occurred here. So they are aware of our actions and our deliberations. We do make it a point to talk about what was spoken to in the community input. That's why the community inputs are so important, just like this dual language issue. It's not within our parameters, but it is a very serious issue for this boundary.
Okay.
And for our new members, as the ABC recommended this to the superintendent, it's now the superintendent's determination to decide what he will recommend to the school board. It could be the same exact recommendation as the ABC. In some instances in the past, it has been a revised recommendation to the school board, and in some instances in the past, the recommendation just didn't go to the school board. So it's up to the superintendent at this point to make the final determination at what he'll recommend to the board.
And then
But he
the board,
takes
is it
into
a majority?
account strongly what the ABC recommends.
Majority vote at the board then to?
Yes, school board,
Always.
yes. But there is public comment at the school board, so the school board receives additional public comments. So they do have a balancing act, just not only what the superintendent says, but also what the public says.
So there's the workshop,
Right.
and then they usually follow it with the first reading, and then there's another meeting that's the second reading, and there's here a public comment
Right.
at all those points.
This is a different type of cycle because there is so much agreement. Boundaries are very emotional. We're talking about our little darlings, and you raise children, you have grandchildren. This is a very, very emotional issue. So we don't have the volume of changes here that we normally have, and so this isn't not quite as challenging as other boundary changes have been.
Can I ask another question just as a new person?
You
Is
sure
this all
can.
we're going to talk about this year, or could something else still come up?
The odds are very high that this will be it. I mean, I don't want to say 100% no, but the odds are very, very slim that something new, not out of the question. I mean, we're still in the cycle, but the odds are high that these two changes would likely be the only proposals for this cycle that would take effect for next school year.
But the new cycle rolls around quickly now. We'll be in March before we know it. So we're not, we end this one and we're almost ready to get into the next one.
And the reason that this is it for this cycle is because it's for the school year starting in August.
Right.
And so they really need to know
Right.
now.
Budget, planning, programs. I mean, it's a benefit to the principals to really know, hey, boundary change, shifting of programs, certain dual language are going to be permitted to stay. So we want to provide the principals the opportunity to plan for their subsequent school year.
I appreciate your patience. I have one more question.
No.
Sure.
What gets something into the cycle? Is it just based on the numbers you run and you evaluate and see which schools need to be shifted, or does somebody make a proposal, or how does
Right. It comes from staff. I compile 5-year enrollment projections in the spring each year.
Okay.
And based on those figures, we then analyze district-wide who's overcrowded, who's projected to be overcrowded. And then, sometimes there's other solutions. School overcrowded, but we may decide to reduce, programmatically, we'll reduce choice seats, perhaps shift pre-K unit out of one school, move it to another, perhaps shift some ESE programs to another school. Programmatically, we have options. Sometimes it's a capacity addition where we'll say we're going to add, not us, but leadership and the board will approve because that's capital funds, classroom addition or modular classrooms. But barring those solutions, if there aren't solutions such as there was with Highland and South Grade, then based on those projections and those projected utilizations, yes, then staff brings forward to this committee, hey, we're proposing a boundary change for this reason.
Okay.
And you hit it. It's based on numbers. You're absolutely correct.
Thank you, that's helpful.
You're very welcome.
Certainly. Anything else? Hopefully everyone's New Year's going very well, and it will continue to go well. Thank you. We'll certainly keep...
That's my job.
The next meeting, besides the workshop, is there another?
So we don't
I don't
anticipate...
do anything whole night. She wants to take my words away.
No, you have. I'm looking your way.
I was looking your way, I'm like,
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I think there was a question with a few...
When you're not here, Frank.
Okay.
I'll do a tape.
We don't, so I think the question was, will there be future regular ABC meetings? Is that the question? Yeah, we don't anticipate that, but last year we did have a policy revision, so we did need to call the committee in for their input in the spring, but we don't anticipate further regular meetings where, we need the quorum and attendance is more mandatory. So the future, the workshop and then the 2 reads, but your, attendance is optional at those meetings. So we don't anticipate, but again, I don't want to say 100% because I want to leave a little 5% chance, so you never know, but don't anticipate additional meetings for this cycle, regular ABC meetings.
Mr. Hayden.
Madam Chair, I move for adjournment, please.
For those of you who are new, that is Frank's job.
Yes. That's a good job of it.
That is his job.
looking at my,
Okay. That's right.
I was like,
We are adjourned.
Guys.